Samsung has been the smartphone market leader with a big lead for a long time. Competition is trying to aggressively bridge this gap with their latest flagships. The Korean manufacturer wishes to not only retain the lead, but also their dominance in the smartphone market. My name is Karan Binani, and this is the Samsung Galaxy S5 review. If I were to begin with the highlight of the S5 design, it has to be the rear panel. The perforated dotted matte finish polycarbonate plastic surely feels better than the glossy finish that we've seen in the S4, the Note 2 and the S3. Samsung experimented with their leather-like finish in the Note 3, which was appreciated by many, and the S5 too feels like a welcome design change. On the sides, you have a wannabe metal-like finish which is still plastic, but the chrome finish tweaks you convincingly enough to make you believe otherwise. The S5 weighs 145 grams and is 8.1mm thick. When compared to the S4, it's slightly heavier, about 15 grams, and a tad bit thicker. The next highlight is the water and dust resistant body, but here's the best part. You still get a removable battery door, giving you the option to remove or replace the 2800 mAh battery, along with the ability to add microSD card storage up to 64GB. It is an IP67 certified, which basically means that it is completely dust tight and can be underwater for 30 minutes at a depth of 1 meter. Samsung seems to be the only phone manufacturer to date who integrate a USB 3.0 data syncing and charging port. Essentially, the USB 3 port lets you charge quicker and transfers data much faster. But as you unbox, the phone ships with a USB 2 cable, which quite honestly makes little sense to me as to why Samsung would not provide you with a USB 3 cable as they do with the Galaxy Note 3. The S5 is no less than a power monster with 2 quad cores running simultaneously along with 2GB of RAM to deliver the Android experience to its full potential. Although the step down from 3GB RAM in the Note 3 to 2GB in the S5 is again something I can't wrap my head around. The device comes fitted with a 16-megapixel ISO camera with autofocus and LED flash. The ISO technology ensures more light enters the lens, resulting into a higher detailed pictures, and we'll cover more of that in our camera review ahead in the video. Samsung has been considerate enough to give the Exynos variant 4K video recording capability. However, it is limited to at most 5 minutes of simultaneous recording. Needless to say, you still have a full HD video recording mode, which I would still recommend you to use. At the front is a 2-megapixel camera capable of full HD video recording. The display of the Galaxy S5 is a 5.1-inch Full HD Super AMOLED display. In terms of size, it's only 0.1 inches more than the S4. But if I were to comment on the brightness and the color reproduction, the S5 definitely stands out farther ahead of the S4. More brightness means you have much better visibility in broad daylight and better color reproduction. Samsung has also re-engineered its pixel arrangement to deliver a richer viewing experience. At the top, you have the IR LED blaster that lets you control pretty much any television or set-top box around you. While Samsung has attempted to remove most gimmicks, a plethora of which were present in the Galaxy S4, they have still gone ahead and added a heart rate monitor. It really just works by simply placing your thumb in a strictly vertical manner while you remain calm, and the S Health app would throw up a number that's indicative of your BPM count. As you open the battery door, you'd see a gasket that seals away any possibility of water trickling inside. A 2800 mAh battery that would barely last you one whole day, a microSD card slot, and a micro SIM card slot. A 1.9 GHz quad-core processor coupled with a 1.3 GHz quad-core processor and a support of 2GB RAM is what rocks the Samsung Galaxy S5. It is definitely one of the leading high-performing Android flagship devices across manufacturers in the world. The Antutu performance benchmark scores claim a score of around 37,000, but please note that this is for the Exynos variants only. The one running the Snapdragon processor would be slightly different, but again, something that you'll consider too seriously. You can pretty much not worry about running multiple apps simultaneously, switching between various apps, HD gaming, or even HD video playback. Everything happens flawlessly with no hangups whatsoever. With a beautiful 5.1-inch bright Super AMOLED display and a powerful set of processors, you can assure yourself of a wonderful Android experience. The Galaxy S5 ships with the latest Android version to date, which is Android 4.4.2 KitKat. The fact, however, remains that this is a Samsung flagship device, and Samsung tweaks the look of the originally looking Android to equip users with added functionality. This additional layer is called the TouchWiz interface, and it has undergone a significant design change when compared to the previous Galaxy flagship devices such as the S4 and the Note 3. The changes are more significant in terms of icon design, use of colors, and a bit of functionality. Samsung has promised Google that they would try to provide an experience to its consumers as close as possible to the stock Android. And keeping this in mind, the first thing that comes to notice is the recent Apps key, which has replaced the menu key. So now the menu key is gone, and you can find it within the display area, often denoted by 3 dots. Even in terms of home screen and app screen layout, there is a change in the way you can edit home screens, add widgets, and create folders. The notification panel now features more minimalist, flat, round settings icons, and even the settings menu has a much brighter set of icons. Various settings have been more intuitively placed under respective headers. However, you can always change this view to suit yourself better. In an attempt to provide a more Googleistic Android experience, Samsung has held itself from shipping the phone with a bunch of pre-installed apps. So apps like S Translator, Group Play, S Note, Scrapbook, and many more are now optional downloads. You hence get to choose and install apps that you want, keeping your phone free from any bloatware that might slow it down. Just tap into Galaxy Essentials and Galaxy Premium section to browse the app choices you have. The S5 features the new S Health app that comes as a pre-installed app and gives you a host of things to do to monitor your health and fitness. A neat little widget on the home screen keeps count of the number of steps you make. Other than that, you can continue to use S Health to monitor and track your exercise routines. The Galaxy S5 camera comes with a 16-megapixel ISO cell camera, capable of ultra-high definition video recording, ultra-fast autofocus capability, and a bright LED to help you take great shots even in the dark. The UHD shooting mode limits you to one-time 5-minute video recording, but I would still recommend you use Full HD video recording, as most devices as of now are only capable of Full HD video playback, unless of course you own a device that can play UHD. The ISOCELL technology has definitely added more value to the whole picture-taking experience with more light and better contrast. The fact that the lens can take more light helps the S5 deliver pictures that are more detailed. The camera app has been redesigned and makes it easier to switch between various settings. The modes no more present themselves in a cyclic fashion as we've seen in the Note 3 or the S4. In fact, it's just one simple list. The modes list is now limited with an option to download more modes if you wished. A toggle to start video recording, ability to pause, and take still shots during video recording is there. The settings menu is not categorized anymore, but a straight-off list of all the setting toggles. Quickly, if I were to show you the video recording settings, you'd see that there is an option for UHD or 4K video recording. There are a bunch of live filter effects that you can choose from to add more glam to your pictures. Two features that I particularly like to talk about are selective focus and real-time HDR. With selective focus enabled, you can go close to an object and take a macro shot. The device then gives you the option to change focus options, so you can have your subject stand out against a blurred background or vice versa. Mostly the selective focus option works well if there is a clear distinction of color between the background and the subject. Otherwise, there might be some artifacts that make the picture look unreal and slightly weird. Real-time HDR is one of my personal favorites. A lot of time you're in a condition with poor lighting or against bright light that makes your picture look either dull or overexposed. With HDR enabled, the camera makes the best out of the low lit areas and the bright lit areas to give a compensated image with best output. Great thing about this option is that it's real time, so you know what the difference is going to be even before you take the shot. Something that's worth pointing out is the extremely quick shutter. It takes just around 0.3 seconds to take a picture, which is extremely quick. Now, you would almost never miss a moment with that kind of speed, right? But there is a simple downside to it. Whenever you click a picture, irrespective of whether your subject is in focus or not, the camera would still go ahead and take a picture. So there is a tiny possibility of getting a blurred picture if you were to click a picture instantly. A solution to this would be to go into settings and turn tap to take pictures on. This way you can always tap to focus and take a picture the instant the focus is established.
Hey guys, this is Bharat, and I'm going to be talking about the two things that are worth a mention in the Galaxy S5 review. Samsung has added a fingerprint sensor at the front of the Samsung Galaxy S5. where the idea is pretty novelistic and the positioning is quite identical to Apple's Touch ID sensor, the usage is not that great. Most of the time you'll be struggling to get your finger across the screen, and you'll need both hands to actually use the fingerprint sensor. If you do manage to get it working, it is limited to only unlocking your screen or accessing the Samsung application store to download some applications, and that's about it. It does not store your passwords or anything else that Samsung promised. The usability is quite difficult, and it's not really in a place where we'd like to use it. The second thing is the fact that the Exynos variant still misses out on 4G capability. Whereas most manufacturers, including HTC with the HTC One M8, have decided to bring 4G capability to India, Samsung has left out on this option and not made this device a global 4G LTE device, which is very, very disappointing for the Indian consumer.
It is clear that the Galaxy S5 is not a huge departure from its predecessor in most ways. The key differences really lie in an upgraded processor set, 16-megapixel ISO camera, and the water dust-resistant body. Other than that, these software features are not something that are much of a concern, because sooner or later Samsung might just roll them out to the S4 and the Note 3 as well. Even with a 2800 mAh battery, which is 200 mAh more than the S4, the battery life is quite disappointing. It would barely make it through the entire day with moderate usage, and that's not something that you expect from the latest flagship. If you're still using a last generation flagship, the price difference might not be justified. But if you're someone who wants to keep up with technology and/or of the opinion that water and dust resistance is of importance, the S5 can be an easy choice. With phones like the HTC One M8 and the Xperia Z2 around the corner, you might want to consider twice before the final decision. Be sure you read the full review at the link below. If you have any questions or queries, feel free to leave them in our comments below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.